This is the Anker Prime Series 7 power bank. A power bank with a 27,650 mAh capacity. Let's go ahead and take a look at this huge capacity power bank, as well as take it apart and see how it looks on the inside. So as I mentioned, this thing has 27,650 mAh of battery capacity. That's a lot of juice, which will be able to power up and charge all your devices throughout the day and make sure you aren't running out of power. It has a convenient display on the front, which shows you a lot of useful and important data. For example, you can see the battery charge level of the power bank itself, as well as individual charging details of each port and how fast each port is charging. There's also a button on the side allowing you to power it on, and go through some settings and dim or brighten the display, and so forth. Going back to the ports, there are two USB Type-C ports and one USB Type-A port. The overall output of this power bank is 250 watts, split between the three ports. You can use all three ports to simultaneously charge three devices at once. So you can basically plug in your laptop, phone, and your friend's phone for example, and charge all three at once. To break down the output of each port, the two USB-C ports can output 140 watts each, and the USB Type-A port can output 65 watts. So if you're using multiple ports to charge, you'll be capped at the 250 watts split between the ports. If three devices are plugged in, you get 140 watts on the first Type-C port, 92 watts on the second Type-C port, and 18 watts on the Type-A port. Do keep in mind, these speeds are also subject to your device capabilities, so you'll only see the faster speeds if your device supports those speeds of charging. When it comes to charging the power bank itself, it can be charged at 170 watts using both Type-C ports in under 40 minutes. That's a lot faster than charging many smartphones which have even smaller batteries. You can also get the Anker 100 watt charging base, which can charge the power bank at up to 100 watts. It attaches magnetically to the gold pins on the bottom of the power bank. This charging base also has two built-in USB Type-C ports and a Type-A port which can power your devices as well while you're charging your power bank. It's a nice additional accessory to have, but it's not a requirement. Moving back to the power bank, it has Bluetooth support, which allows you to connect it to the Anker app, which gives you more details on the devices you're charging, as well as calculating how many charges you'll get for the device you want to charge. If you happen to misplace your power bank, you can touch the Find My Device in the app, and it will initiate a beeping sound on the power bank to help you locate it. The app also allows you to further customize the display on the power bank. It is TSA approved for the capacity of the battery, so you can take it with you on a plane as a carry-on without any issues traveling. So now that we have a basic understanding of the features, let's go ahead and take this thing apart and see it from the inside. We'll need to start off by applying some heat to the front using either a hairdryer or a heat gun to loosen up any possible adhesive underneath, and then we'll begin prying the top portion off. Links for this power bank will be in the description for anyone who wants to purchase one. So prying the top cover off is definitely not going to be an easy task, and you'll need some strong tools to pry or break it open. However, now that we got the top cover off, we can see the display, and the flex cable is connected to the main board over here. There is also some type of glue or cure in place gasket over the connector, some over here, as well as some over here on the soldered cables for the speaker. Now this top white foam buffer needs to be peeled off. And then the 4 Phillips screws need to be removed. Even with the screws removed, the top main board is held down with solder points, as well as possible adhesive or glue holding the entire assembly to the outside housing. So we can't separate the assembly as is, and we'll need to use a Dremel to carefully cut open the outside housing. We'll also have to desolder or break off the soldered pins or contacts to be able to separate the bottom housing, since they are attached to the bottom gold pins for charging the power bank with the charging base. Here's a better look at those pins, as well as the ones for the contacts underneath the power bank housing. And we can also see the speaker for the beeping alerts. We'll continue breaking off the rest of the housing after we cut it into a few parts with a Dremel, making sure we didn't cut too deep to puncture any of the batteries. And here's a look at the assembly without the housing. The main board is still held down with these soldered contacts for the battery board, and will need to be desoldered to remove the main board. This cable also needs to be disconnected from the board. Once those have been desoldered, and the cable is disconnected, the board can be lifted up and removed. Looking at the main board, we can see a USB-A and a USB-C port soldered to it. Back to the assembly, we see a thermal foam or sponge-like compound, and we see a separate subboard which has a second USB-C port soldered to it. To remove it, the 2 Phillips screws need to be removed. Looking at the subboard, we can see the power button clicker soldered to the side. So now I'm going to cut open the housing of this assembly. Here's a better look at that. So we can see 7 batteries which are soldered together in the center to this board. And there's some foam padding around the batteries as well as some protective tape. So based off this battery, we can see that each of the battery cells are 3.6 volt with 3.95 amp hours. So here's a better look at the 7 individual battery cells. So overall, the way this power bank is built is definitely going to be strong and durable, and it's definitely going to be hard taking it apart. So this isn't something you're going to be doing any type of repairs on, or any part replacements. However, the fact that it's built very strong and durable, you won't have to worry about it easily getting damaged. The speeds this power bank provides, the capacity of the batteries, as well as the easy to use app which can be synced with this power bank, definitely makes this one of my top choices. Again, links are in the description for anyone who's interested in purchasing this power bank, and I'll see you in the next video.